Alright, welcome to my 8th tutorial on Java game development with LibGDX. And today we are going to make a proper main menu out of what we have. So I changed the font, tried to make it better, but it looks even worse than before. So we are going to fix that. I mean, you see, that's not really good. So we're going to fix this heading, and we are going to add space between the heading and the button, because that's just what usually is there. Also, we are going to animate the buttons and the heading a little bit, so yeah, that the menu has something like a fading in as well. Okay, and we're going to add the play button. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do is, actually, we forgot, disposing here again. So what we have to dispose is the stage, the atlas, the skin, and the fonts, I think. So stage dot dispose, atlas dot dispose, skin dot dispose, white dot dispose, black dot dispose. Anything else? No. Yeah, I think that's it. Then we want to fix the font, so we don't need any of our font stuff anymore because it doesn't work anyway, and we're just going to open up BM font or whatever font generator you use. Font settings is Okra ASTD. Oops, and we want the font to be a little bit bigger so that we can display it bigger without looking shitty. Good. Then the export options, I should probably do it like this so you can see. It's gonna be 23-bit depth. Let's make white one, and we are using PNG. Alright, oh, and 512. That doesn't really matter, it's just the width of the pages, these font underscore o.png things, and yeah, so we just need one page if we just increase the size. Okay, and export that to, yeah, actually I have it already, but let's just override it. White font, and we want the same thing. Oh, I forgot something very essential. Choosing these things, I'm just choosing Latin plus Satin supplement and general punctuation, because last time we put like all of these in, and that's why we got this error. So that just, I don't know, it messes us up if there are too many characters in somehow. So export options, this time we want black text with alpha, and save that as black. Yep. So that should work now. Let's just see. Font. Yeah, that looks good. Oops. Putting this in here. The names are just as before, so there should be no problem in executing this. Oh, yeah, okay. Like I said, we increased the font size to 64. So now if we scale it like times 3, it's too big, of course. But we see the characters are alright. It looks just fine, and we have the same font family that we have in the splash screen, so that's great already. So we're just going to set the font scale to 2, and we're going to, yeah, that's it for now. Let's see if that looks good. Yeah, that's way better, exactly. So now let's add the yeah, this space between the heading and the exit button. It's actually pretty simple. We just have to do table dot get cell, and here we can say that we want to get the cell in which the specified actor is in. So in this case, we want the cell that contains the heading, and on this cell we want to put a space on the bottom. So dot space bottom, and now we can say like how many pixels is it gonna be, and we're just saying it's 100 pixels. So we're done. This should work just fine. Yeah, there we are. So now let's add the play button right here. So for that we need a new button play, and we want to actually make that new button play equals new text button, which is gonna say play, and take a text button. I can type. I really can type. Style. Then we're going to add a listener on that as well. Button play dot add listener, new click listener. Clicked. And you know, like this line, it's gonna be pretty similar, so we just say it's gonna be a game what we want to have, and we get it from gdx.app.getApplicationListener.set. Okay, import that before. Now set screen to yeah, let's say like level. Let's just call levels. Yeah, levels is good. It's gonna be the screen where we choose the level that we want to play. So new levels. Yeah, levels doesn't exist, so we're just going to create it so that we don't get an error. Yep. Levels. Delete all of that. And let's actually, in the render method, do the gdx.gl.gl clear color 0001 gdx.gl.gl clear gl20.gl color buffer bit. So this just is going to make our screen black, so we see that we actually changed the screen. Then of course we want the button play to have a padding of 20 as well. Actually, I think 20 is a little bit too much. We can reduce it for both buttons for like 15. And then we want to add the button right above the exit button. So, or do we want to put the button for play and exit in a line, in a row? No, let's not do that. Let's put them above each other. So here is the row under the heading. Then we do table.add button play, and we want the button exit to go in another row. So yeah, I think that's it. Let's try it out. Yeah, great, isn't it? Got the exit button, we got the play button, and we got the space that we put on our heading. We have to give a little bit space here as well, because that just looks a little bit weird, but we can already switch to the level screen. So let's do table dot get cell, which is going to be for button play dot space button, but just like 15 pixels as well, or just 10. Okay, 15. Whatever, we're going to see how it's going to look. And start it up another time. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, for now that's good. Okay, so just about one more thing. We use 2 lines here, but we can actually just say, because we define all the stuff we need for the label style in the constructor, so we don't do anything like heading style dot whatever later. So we can just take this out, delete it, and put this right in here. I just prefer this way. It's faster. Okay. So now that we have the menu basically set up, let's make it a little bit more flexible, because at the moment, let's just skip the splash. At the moment, it looks like this. And if we resize the window, it's always sized accordingly. I mean, that looks pretty good, but actually, if the user sizes it like this, it doesn't look good at all. So let's adjust that. It's actually pretty simple, simpler than you think. In the resize method, we just have to stage.set viewport to the new width and height, and now we can choose if we want to keep the aspect ratio. So let's set that to true. The thing is, it doesn't really matter because we set the viewport to width and height anyway, but just for safety and just because we have to put any value there, we're saying true. Now we have to adjust the table size. So according to LibGDX API, we would have to do table.set transform true, which just enables the transformation so that the table can be resized and stuff like that. And then we could set the table size to the new width and height. But if we do this, it just won't resize, because this method does not work. The thing is, actually, let's see that in the table we have this constructor, and actually, if we create a table, transform is disabled, and if we want to re-enable it again, I don't know, it just doesn't work. It's a bug. But there's a workaround. We have to say sable.set clip and say true here, because the set clip, if we could see it, there we go, also sets the transform to enabled, or whatever we pass in there. So since we can't call set transform from outside, we have to do it from inside using set clip. And what set clip usually is that a button is, for example, like too big for the table and it doesn't fit in, it would go outside of the table. But if we set clip to true, the button won't be drawn outside of the table, so it would just be cut off at that at the border. That doesn't matter for us because our table goes to the goes over the whole screen anyway, so we can just use that without any problem. But let's say this is a workaround because it's not supposed to be like this. Yeah, I think now it should work. Now resize it, and it should not resize. Just stay like it is. And it does. It just stays how it is, no matter what size we give the window. Oops. Okay, so we accomplished that. Now let's see, what did I plan on doing? Okay. We want to, yeah, let's just let's just see that again. We want to animate our menu because that's not really so interesting. At first, when we go into the menu, we want the whole screen to be black, and then the heading to fade in. Right after that, the play button to fade in, and then the exit button to fade in. That's not really complicated, but we're going to use something pretty handy for that. At first, let's set up our Tween stuff. Creating animations, and we obviously need a Tween manager. And this Tween manager we want to update before we do anything. Like Tween manager dot update with a delta time. And while we're already here, we can draw the debug above everything else. Doesn't make much of a difference. I just want to do it like this now. And we of course need to create a Tween manager. There we are. Now, we wanted to animate the buttons and the heading. What do they have in common? They are all actors, because everything inside the table and everything inside the stage is an actor. Like we see stage.addActor table. So the table itself is an actor, and we can add even more actors to the table. So to assess all of this, we just have to assess the actor, and therefore we want to use an actor assessor that we are going to write. Let's just register it. For the actor.class, we want a new actor assessor to handle the stuff. So let's create one. Create class actor assessor, not inside screens, in Tween, and this is okay, because if we implement it ourselves, what do I say? Tween assessor. We can set the type like actor and import it and add the implemented methods. So we said that we want the buttons to fade in. We need the alpha value for that. So let's create the Tween type. Alpha equals 0, and do a switch case here on Tween type. In the case we want to animate the alpha value, we at first have to add it to the return values. So return values 0 equals target.getColor dot A, and then return 1. Then we add our default case, assert false, return -1. And now, oops, values, yeah. We have to do the same thing for setting the new value. So switch Tween type case alpha target.setColor, and now we want to set only the alpha value. So we just let I can type and talk at the same time. We just keep these like they were before. RGB and the new alpha value. And our default case, which is just this. Yeah, that's it for the actor assessor. Now we go back in here and the error is fixed. Now we actually want to do something. I mean, we have everything that we need. Let's create our animations. Yeah, to create the animations, what are we going to do? Like, yep, we are going to use. Is it possible? From, yes, that is possible. So I want to introduce something new in the Tween Engine to you, and that is called a timeline. A timeline can either be parallel or is sequence. Parallel means that everything inside the timeline is started and animated and everything at the same time, and sequence means that it is done one after another. So we want to create a sequence dot begin, then we have to just choose begin sequence. Begin marks the beginning of the sequence, so we have to say that it begins. And then we say push. Push means that we add a new animation to our timeline. So tween dot, and now another new thing, tween from is like the opposite of tween to. From just, yes, that does what tween to does, but in the opposite direction. So we say at first heading, then actor assessor dot alpha, and we want that to be for half a second. And now the target is the magic in the tween.from method. Usually in tween.to we would set the target value to what we want the value to be when the animation is done. But here we set the target value to what we want it to be when the animation starts, and that is 0. So just a quick review. We create a timeline, we create a sequential timeline, then we begin the sequence and put in a from animation that says the heading should adjust its alpha value half a second from 0. And you think, from 0 to what? Well, from 0 to what it was set before we animated it, and that was 1 because it was visible. So that pretty much is all we need for the heading. Now we can say push and do the same thing with the buttons. Tween.from button play, because the heading is here, and then here's the play button, and then there's the exit button. Actor assessor dot alpha, also half a second, and we want it to go from 0 up to 1 as well. Last but not least is the play button, the exit button. From button exit alpha half a second, and we want it to fade in from 0. And the end we have to call dot end, like begin sequence marks the beginning, so everything between begin sequence, or also begin parallel, but we use the sequence, and the end is the timeline, so this marks that it goes from there to there, and then we start it with our Tween Manager. So let's add a comment, heading and buttons fade in. I think it's written like that. yeah, it doesn't matter anyway. So let's just see if that works. I hope it does. Oh yeah, it did work, did you see? But we forgot something. Because in the beginning, the target, the alpha value is still set to 1. And then it takes us half a second to set it to 0. I mean, in the beginning the heading is set to alpha 0, but then it takes half a second for the play button to be set to 0 and then fade into 1, and then it takes one more half second for the exit button to be set to 0 and fade into 1. So in the beginning we want to set the initial values. So tween.set. Actually, I think we can add this to our timeline. .push tween.set. The target is gonna be heading. And no, we don't have to do heading, because the heading is what's animated first. So it immediately is set to 0 and then fades into 1. But the play and exit button have to wait, and in the time they wait, they are set to alpha transparency 1. So we just do this for the button play. And we say that it should be invisible. And we do this for the other button exit. So now we set the two buttons that have to wait to a alpha transparency of 0, and then we fade it all in. That should work. Where are my buttons? They are invisible. Button play. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so as much as I like the from, we have to use to, because before, when we used from, we said it should go from what it was before, in this case 0, to 0 again. So that makes no sense. So we set these to 0, and then we have to say 1. Now, it definitely has to work. Yeah, this is the way we want it. Now that this fades in, we want the heading to have this sort of color animation there, that it changes the colors all the time. So we have something nice and interesting to see in the menu. Therefore, we just create another timeline that we actually want to start before the fade in timeline. So timeline dot create sequence, begin sequence, push. We're going to put something in there just in a minute. Then end, then start for the tween manager. So what we want to happen is the actor, tween dot to the heading to change its red, green, and blue values for the color. So we say actor assessor dot RGB. We didn't create that yet. We are going to do that, and it's going to take, I don't know, like half a second as well. So let's create the RGB one. Create constant RGB. Okay, we don't want it like that. We want it like that RGB is gonna have the 0 now and alpha has to get the 1. Doesn't matter, I just want it in this order because usually it would be RGBA, so this way it makes sense as well. So now we can say case RGB is return values 0 equals target dot get color dot R. The next is G1 and B2, and we return 3. Down here RGB, we set these, we set the new color, so target dot set color, and oops, let's do it like this. R value is new values 0, new values 1 is G, and B is new values 2. And then we want to use the same alpha as before, so target dot get alpha get color dot A and break. Okay, now we don't get an error here anymore, and of course that's not all we need to do. We need to say target, and actually we need 3 values there. We can actually put as many as we want in case we create a tween type that's even with more values, but they have this one with 3 already predefined. So let's just create one for pretty many colors. 0, 0 and 1, then 0, 1 and 0, and then 1, 0, 0, and then 1, 1, 0, and then 1, 0, 1, and then 1, 1, 1. Is that everything that's possible? 1, 1, 1. Oh no, there's one more possible. 0, 1, 1. Like whatever, it doesn't really matter. So now it just fades from this color to this color to this color to this color, and it's always taken half a second. Yeah, great. And we want this to not just happen once, we want it to happen all the time. So we say repeat, and that's gonna repeat to forever, and forever is actually tween.infinity. That's just an int that they use for infinity. I don't know what it is, and this way it's programmed clean. The delay is going to be 0. It should just start over and over again, right after another. So then we want the time and create sequence, blah 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 blah. Okay, let's try that out before we do any more stuff. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? And it's just changing the color to random colors all the time. Now we had this thing that the menu itself faded in from alpha, so also everything inside it, and that it like came up from here and then went down to the bottom. So we say now we can use our mighty froms table actor assessor dot alpha, and that's going to take, I don't know, half a second. And we target now, because we use from, we said what we want it to be at the beginning, and then it goes down to 0 again because it was 0 before. So LibGDX.graphics.get height divided by 8. I think that's okay. So it goes, I don't know what that's called in English, but it goes one of these up and then goes down. So tween.from, now we want to set the, oh, what did I do? Alpha, I'm talking about alpha. And we want the alpha to start from 0 and then go up to 1. What am I talking about? Here we want the table to actually change its Y position. Actor assessor.alpha for half a second as well. Target. Now we use gdx.graphics.get height divided by 8. And we have to start those, of course, with our tween manager. Start tween manager. Okay. And table fade in. And let's put this here, and this is actually the heading color animation, just like that. And oops, we want to modify the Y position here, so we have to make another tween type in our actor assessor, which I want to go before here as well. It really doesn't matter, but I always do the position and then the color and everything just in order. Case Y, return values 0 equals target dot get Y. Pretty simple. Return 1. Down here we just set the Y position, so target dot set Y is the new Y. And break. That's everything we need. Main menu. And yeah, let's try it out. Works. Even though I think it's taken a little bit too long for the buttons to fade in, because the menu was there even before, like, you know, before the buttons were there. Yeah, now we missed the effect. Hello. And you see, I want that all to happen at the same time, so let's adjust these values here to, like, this is just taken 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. Yeah, I think that's okay. It's still not perfect, but whatever. So now that we have a menu that looks nice, we don't need the debug lines anymore. This is gone, and this is gone. And there we are. Now let's try that out with the splash again. Splash, and import that, just to make sure that everything is correct in the splash. Yeah, it goes to a new main menu. Main. Splash screen. Switching to menu. Yeah, that is great. And then, next episode, we're going to create this level selection here. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode. And I hope you could follow all this tween stuff here. Looks pretty much, but it's basically just 2 timelines and 2 froms. So if you have any questions, just ask in the comments. Hope I explained that good enough. And yeah, see you all in the next episode. Thanks.